Hello, everybody. This is Justin Case from American Newscape, joining our friend and media personality, Jerry Maldonado, back for another installment of Meatball Therapy with my friend and special guest, Jeff Griffin. Hello, Jerry. Hello, Jeff. Welcome back to American Newscape. They're flashing signs at me. Now I'm confused. Hey,
Listen, this one right here is the international sign for I love you.
Oh.
And I'm telling you, it seems like we've just talked yesterday.
We did talk.
I use it at my Ozzy concert, so don't worry about it. It's all good. We use it all for the same thing. We love everybody.
So you've been to an Ozzy Osbourne concert, Jerry?
Me? Nah,
Yeah.
well, a couple hundred. That's why my ears ring.
Okay. All right, guys. We're here. Jeff, this is your show as far as I'm concerned. Why don't you give Jerry some of your background?
Love to. And by the way, I love the fact that you're the mediator. You might be wrangling a bunch of cats today as Jerry and I just go off on different tangents and we go on different things.
Yeah, just stand in the background there, Meatball. You'll be all right.
Yeah, all right. I'm good at keeping my mouth shut. All right.
Yeah, that is good. Now, Jerry, I love this because Justin's been talking about this man on the other side, and I'm like, Witten cyber stalked you and everything, and so I appreciate the opportunity to spend some time on your channel, on your space, with a bunch of meatballs. I'm trying not to. I'll try not to get dirty, but this is exciting. What you can't see, Jerry, is that I'm in a wheelchair. In the back there, a little background, I got a little figurine of a little kid in a wheelchair playing basketball. That's growing up as a little kid, my dream was to play on the big stage. I wanted to play on the big stage, and I wanted to play for a college football team down south from where I grew up. In fact, they breed them to hate them where I was. And I grew up in northern Utah, wanted to play for a team down in southern Utah or central Utah at BYU because they pumped out All-American quarterbacks, and I was a receiver, and I loved football. And I don't know if you've ever told anybody your dreams or what you want. But I don't know if I had the courage or the lack of intelligence and told somebody. And they gave me every single reasons why I couldn't play football and why I couldn't obtain and achieve my dreams. They're like, you can't play football. You're too short. You can't play football. You're too slow. Some people said I couldn't play football because I'm too white. I'm like, okay, too short, too slow, too white. I'm like, all right. And fortunately for me, I didn't realize that most people, and I'm generally speaking here, but I think it's pretty dang accurate, that most people base other people's possibilities on their limitations.
Oh, good point. Fantastic point.
And I didn't know that as a little kid, but we reject what we don't understand, and we base our possibilities on what we know. And fortunately for me, the song sang super loud inside my soul. I wanted to play football. I carried it everywhere I went. I played it in the springtime, played it in the summer, played it in the winter. And on Sundays when my mom wouldn't let me play it outside, I'd go down in the basement and I'd play it in my mind and just envisioning myself making catch after catch after catch from the next All-American quarterback from BYU. And it was crazy because everyone kept on telling me all the reasons why I couldn't. And I learned that this word I can't is poisonous. It's debilitating. It's limiting. And I don't know who came up with it. And I know that John Assaraf has been credited to this. He said that by the time we're 17 years old, we hear the word I can't 150,000 times. And if that's the case, every time we tell ourselves we can't, our mind accepts it and it shuts down every possible solution that's out there. And so I've learned that every minute we doubt it's possible, we give up 60 seconds in finding the solution. And unfortunately for me, I didn't listen to the boo birds all the time. There were occasions where I did. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I'm not that great. But I remember one day after practice my senior year, I came home and there was an envelope on my table from the college that I wanted to go play for. And just to make sure I wasn't dreaming, 3 steps, boom, I'm there to the table. I touched the embossed helmet on the envelope, make sure I'm not dreaming. I open up the envelope, pull out the letter, and there is a letter addressed from the legendary Hall of Fame coach, LaVell Edwards, inviting me, this short, slow white guy, to come play for him at his school. And what's interesting is if there's any youth haters out there or anyone else who doesn't like BYU, they might say or think everybody at BYU is short, slow, and white. And I'm like, I get that. But for me, because I've been told I couldn't so many times, I thought he was giving these letters out to everybody. And so I took the letter to practice that next day, and people thought I was rubbing it in their faces, my teammates, and they tried to take my head off. But to make a long story short, Jerry, I got to experience what it would be like to be on the big stage. I played 2 downs in college, and I got to taste the sweetness of success and to experience what it would be like to be on the big stage, to be on the field, not just in the stands and in the stadium, and not just on the sideline, but to actually be in the field and get to experience it, to experience the sounds, the sights, the smells, and all those things that come with it. And it was just amazing, and I love that. And so I don't care what they tell you. They don't pay enough money to play football in college. And so I came home for the summer. And I'm like, what can I do to earn a little money so I can go back and focus on football? And I started my own business as a painter, not of paintings and pictures, but of buildings. And I grew up in northern Utah, and I got a phone call from Napoleon Dynamite Country. They're in Preston, Idaho, and this lady invited me to come bid her barn. And 3 days later, and $3,000 richer, I had enough money to get my bullet bike and to focus on football. You see, Jerry, I wanted a bullet bike because every time I saw a guy on a bullet bike, there was a lady on back. And in my mind, I'm like, I think the chicks dig the wheels.
Yeah. Testosterone at large. I get it.
I know. And people are like, you really don't want a bullet bike. You just want the ladies. I'm like, you're right. Because in my mind, I thought the chicks dig the wheels. And it wasn't until I got in a wheelchair that I realized that the chicks dig the wheels.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I love your biography. I mean, but when you say about your dream, it's amazing how we become bigger than ourselves. You attained your dream technically by those 2 downs, but you became a bigger person as a result with your knowledge to inspire others to do the same thing, no matter what the cost. And that's what, since day one, I was told you can't, it won't, being brought up. And it was the best thing in my life because it taught me how to be somebody. And not graduating high school, but yet I'm a published author. I mean, you can't, there's no limits to a limitless mind. I wish people can grasp that. You don't need an acronym in the beginning or the back of your name to become successful. It's your perception of yourself. And you carry that perception through everything of everybody telling you what you couldn't be, but in the back of your mind, it was getting anchored, but you kept persevering forward, which is the best thing in the world. Even now, you have no limits because you've taken the knowledge of that perseverance and just transformed it with a different paradigm of thinking to inspire others on a better level. The gift that keeps on giving. The will to do stems from the knowledge that we can do. And I wish people would really anchor that in their thoughts and everything in their life, because you're not limited. You are not. It's your view of the world. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I forgot who said that. Wayne Dyer, I think, said that. I mean, that was a turning point for me because I was looking at the same picture with the wrong mental snapshot. And when you change the film, change the paradigm, you change the direction of your thought, just like you did, no matter what the circumstances. And granted, here I am complaining about a migraine, and you're wheeling around the world in a chair. I have nothing to be ungrateful for. And I say it to myself every day in my journaling that I do I give myself the hour of power, as Tony Robbins said many moons ago, and to really emphasize and dictate your life on paper, because that pen to paper to me is my God to myself, is my own way of creating what I want to create for the day. You have you do it mentally, as does the other meatball who's not saying anything in the background there. He's got a great vision. He uses the mirror technique. But however way we implant it and anchor it, you didn't let your past anchor you to a dismal future, no matter the outcome. That's what everybody needs, the will to do, because we're surrounded by negativity. We're surrounded by you can't. That's why I don't watch the news. I get informed, but not inundated. And if people can grasp that for themselves, they won't be anchored to life's fears, because maybe 1%, yeah, there's issues going on, and God bless those people. Hopefully they're going to be okay. But you start getting anchored to this constant fear mongering of how life is to their view, you're going to start becoming that. What you think about, you bring about. That mantra that all of us know here and that we preach every day to our audiences on our different platforms is our perspective of life, that it can be the same way for everybody else if they just looked at themselves differently every day.
I love that. I really do. And sometimes we forget. Like there's some moments where we're like, we look in the mirror and we see the real us, you know, we see the real us and we're like, oh yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we linger a little longer. And then there's other times where we just forget. We forget that greatness. We forget because we do listen to those blue birds. We do though. And for me, you know, that happened to me there at the, you know, the barn there in Preston, Idaho, where, you know, I'm like, okay, it's just a regular day. I went up there, I put some scaffolding, I put a 30-foot ladder on top of that. I'm up 40 feet up in the air, getting the tall parts of the barn done. And I'm cutting corners just so I can get the tall parts done and get the project over with so I can get on to living my life. And because I cut corners, when I was at the top of the ladder, top of the barn, getting ready to paint, the scaffolding and the ladder slipped out from underneath me. And I came down. And I love these, you know, what do you call it? That my MacBook does. These effects, these special effects. We got balloons flying. We got thumbs up. Pretty soon we're going to have a concert that comes.
I was going to check the clock. I wasn't sure what time it was. I thought it was
that's my special needs coming out. I'm like, hey, listen, let me get you excited. I'm like, I'm going to do one of these things, and it's going to be a concert. We're going to have a concert now.
Oh gosh.
There we go.
Mac.
All right, I'm gonna go put the spotlight on. Hold on, it's all good. But go ahead.
But anyway, Jerry, back to the story. I'm up 40 feet. It slips out from underneath me. I come down. I try to save myself. It doesn't. As I'm falling, I learned a lesson of a lifetime, which is, you know, whenever we cut corners, it leads nowhere but down. Yeah. And I hadn't hit the ground yet.
I'm guilty of that as well. You know, we're all guilty because under the pressures of life and time, and you know, time is just an illusion, as Einstein said, indeed. But I wish we can practice that. We're all on time limits. Everything we got to do. You know, with your contracted work that you were doing back then, you had to get a certain time, and I get it. I mean, I do it with my daily work as well. But yeah, you know, but think about your life as I whack my mic here. Think about your life. You're doing something more powerful now than any quarterback could ever have done, because you're changing the minds of people. It's like a blessing that keeps on giving. And to me, don't get me wrong. I mean, I was a drummer. I wanted to be on the stage. I was that guy with the sticks in my hand. I was the John Bonham wannabe.
Kenny Arnoff.
But to me, I know. But to me, I mean, I look at your life, your biography. This is 1,000 times more powerful by what you're doing, because of the fact that you're not entertaining people, you're inspiring people. Entertainment is momentary. Inspiration is lifetime, the legacy that person creates for themselves. I mean, to me, doing what I've done throughout the years was not just to inspire people, but to inform them of the true power and the greatness that you brought up, that we all have. We all have it. But we're told from day one that we can't use it. That emotional guidance system of thought and feeling and action every day is the preamble to our future. They use that in the Constitution. That's why the country is the way it is. They devoted a preamble to what they wanted it to be. If people create the preamble for their life, that's what they can be. And they put that document up on a wall, and they look at that every day. You know, we have a gift every day to have, be, or do anything we want. but it's getting through the morass of life and situations like yours and like mine. To me, mine was nothing compared to what you went through. But here you're sitting up there, your eyes are glowing with inspiration, with love and passion for life. And people are out there complaining because their coffee is not correct. It boggles my mind. It just boggles my mind. But at the same time, it's people like you and I and Justin sharing these platforms. Is that if we change one mind, we've won.
Oh, absolutely. Now, Jeff, one of the things I learned from you early on was that concept of flipping the switch. So, what? Just touch on it and tell us what flipped the switch for you.
I love that. I love that concept.
100% flipping the switch. And by the way, Jerry, I want to kind of mention really quick too that you've compared my situation with yours, and everyone has pain and has challenges, and you're like, man, yours is so much worse than mine. And I'm like, here's what I've discovered. Whenever we are, and then we're not, we discover some disconnect. We discover pain, and I've learned that all pain hurts, no matter the size. And so I don't want to discredit anybody's experience here, and I do want to acknowledge the fact that I realize that all pain hurts, and so I've also learned too that we all have problems, and the problem isn't the problem because I have a problem.
What? I have a problem.
What I've also learned too, though, is you are the problem.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And as soon as we accept that, and we're like, you know what? Yeah, I am the problem. The way I address the problem, the way I look at the problem, the way I look at this challenge, the way I address this problem, the way I react to it. And as soon as we accept the fact that, hey, you know what? I'm taking accountability. I'm taking responsibility. And for me, after I fell 40 feet from some scaffolding, my life was changed. My identity was destroyed. I was no longer a physical specimen, that I once was. The older I get, the better I was. And I entered that sauna of self-pity and was feeling sorry for myself because I couldn't run, I couldn't jump, I couldn't catch. In fact, I had to allow the nurses to come in every 2 hours and turn me over because I couldn't even turn over myself so I wouldn't get pressure sores. They stopped feeding me in the hospital in bed. And so it took me a half an hour to get out of my bed into my wheelchair to get to the cafeteria. There's one day I'm rolling down the sterile halls of the hospital, feeling sorry for myself, wallowing around in that syrupy, sticky sauna of self-pity that we tend to go into sometimes. And I wanted to be left alone. And I get to the cafeteria, I get my food, I go to the corner of the cafeteria, and I want to be left alone. And that's the worst thing to do is to be left alone. But I want to be left alone. Like, just leave me alone. And I'm in the corner of the cafeteria. I'm flavoring my food with my tears. And this tray plops down in front of me, and I'm about to look up and tell this guy to take a hike. And before I could say anything, this gentleman across the table from me asked me a question that set me free from my prison. And here's the irony, Jerry. The person who was sitting across from me was a prisoner who was doing rehab at the hospital. And so this prisoner asked me a question that set me free from my prison, that helped me flip the switch and reframe things, to see things, to remind myself of what I had forgotten, remind myself of what I did to get where I did to play football in college. And it was just amazing. This question just changed my life. And I've never been back to that sauna of self-pity. I've had some down days. I've had some, depressing days, but nothing to where I've been wallowing around in that syrupy sauna, sort of sticky self-pity that I was in there. And I've learned that anybody can flip the switch. Anybody can flip the switch. And people might be listening like, no, I can't. Listen, if anyone has been on the phone, sorry, scratch that. If anybody has been having an argument with their spouse or their partner and they're just going at it, and they're just going and they're going and they're going, and all of a sudden the phone rings and they stop because they have to get the phone, and they stop and flip the switch. Hello?
Yeah.
And absolutely. Yep. 100%. Yep. Absolutely. Click. And so we can flip that switch back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that question changed my life and set me free from a prison. And I haven't looked back. And I started to focus on things that I could do instead of what I couldn't do. And what I could do is I could dream new dreams. And what I could do is I could live life to the fullest, even though it might be from a chair. And what I could do is I could inspire people. And what I could do is I could, become a transformational speaker. What I could do is I could speak on stages all over the world. And what I could do is go play wheelchair basketball and play on the world stage at the Olympics, at the Paralympics. And what I could do is I could impress a lady in college that dug the wheels. And she and I are celebrating 27 years on the 10th of July.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Good for you, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. But
wait. So, are you trying to convince us that you impressed her with your wheelchair as opposed to your charm and energy and personality? Really, come on, Jerry.
Absolutely. My wife dug the wheels, but honestly, here's exactly. The deal. I do have to put a precursor here. When I got hurt, my buddy who was with me at the construction site, he would come in and visit me in the hospital while he was attending college, and he'd come down and report about this girl in his psychology class who he had the hots for. And there's a bro code, and you just don't break the bro code. And my best friend liked this girl, and he was telling me all about her, and I'm trying to coach him up from a distance. And so when I got out of the hospital and we were on campus and I met her for the first time, I'm not the greatest with ladies, but he is definitely not the greatest with ladies. And so I'm trying to, gently push him to her. But apparently what I did is I just pushed him past her and put me right in her space. And I'm like, how you doing?
How you doing?
That's not a good first impression. That doesn't work every time. But hey, I mean, you might as well say I love you the right way, I guess, and start from the beginning. You jump in the pool. Yeah. Everybody jump in the pool.
Yes, absolutely. Now I didn't actually use those words, but I just looked at her and I was just trying to keep the conversation going and try to redirect her attention to my buddy. And but yeah,
you had a better shiny object than he did, and she focused on you instead.
It was the wheels. It was the wheels.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was not the wheels.
The shiny object got your attention. It's like, it's like the news media. They like, focus on this stuff. Don't worry, the world's a bad place. But really, in reality, the world is not a bad place. Just your thought says that's a bad place.
Absolutely.
You fulfilled your dream by stepping on that field, but life had bigger plans for you. We don't know why things happen, and you know that from your experience. It's this coincidence thing I've always been perplexed with. Why do these so-called coincidences happen? Why do these things come together when we know what we want, but then we're redirected somewhere else? So is it some ornate power that is directed? See, I'm always, it infatuates me to really grasp how the metaphysical quantum level works. I love how it comes together. But in situations like yours, you had a direct dream, you had a direct goal, you fulfilled it, and then it's cut off. It gives you a whole different direction in life, but an even more powerful one. So, I mean, this is what amazes me about life. People like yourself understood it. You didn't let the mind take over you because it takes commands from you. You just kept telling it better things to think about instead of wallowing in your, what was happening. And people don't get that. They think the mind controls us. No, it's waiting for our commands to tell it how to have, be, and do in life, how the body works. It creates everything. People realize their greatness is just in their thought process, because that starts the hamster wheel of your life dictated out in the reality that we create every day. You just used your experience from that tragic event to better yourself. Because to me, mental anguish is the worst pain. People in war, ask anybody in war. I mean, the mental anguish, it wasn't the battlefield, it was coming home and living with it. And when you finally had a chance to be by yourself, which I did for 10 years, I literally just shut myself down away from people because I knew I had to reevaluate what was going on. It's that time alone that changed your thinking as well. And I wish everybody can go through that time alone to realize your greatness, because when you have time to think is when you have time to relish on what you can really have, be, and do. But sadly, it takes an event like mine and like yours to really grasp that true power in everything that we've lost, but in essence, we've gained. It's a whole new path in life that we can use our power of experience to help others, not to diminish what happened to anybody else, but to say, look, we've all been there. We're all in the same boat here. We don't have to jump off. We can all pile in together and enjoy life the way we want it and not let what has happened to us form and create from us.
Yeah. I hate to do this, Jerry, but I can solve that life mystery for you.
Come, please.
There are no
join the party. Join the party there, Meatball.
There are no coincidences.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. I just want to hear from somebody else, and coming from the master Meatball at the control panel, you are awesome. Thank you. Indeed. Indeed. We are our own self-fulfilling prophecy, so whatever we're projecting is what we're creating. And it's hard for people to realize that and grasp it. It's almost like a mythical thing. Oh, it's fate. No, Meatball, it's your thinking. That's what's going on here. You start changing your thinking, you change your fate, you change your destiny. If people can grasp that for themselves, I mean, life is amazing.
100%.
Hey, Jeff.
And that's, go ahead, Justin.
Jeff, give us a couple tools, building blocks, to help us flip that switch when we need to.
100%. I love that, because what was interesting is, after I fell 40 feet, broke my back, shattered my dreams of playing, college football, I had to sift through my broken back and shattered dreams, and I discovered some flecks of gold. That helped me pick up the pieces, dust myself off, and to dream new dreams. And in this process, I discovered what helped me get to that point to play collegiate football. That helped me get to this point where I was able to, reflect a little bit, to slow down, as you said, Jerry, is, to actually contemplate and meditate and ponder and really get crystal clear on what it is that I want. Where have I been? Where am I currently at? And where do I want to go? And so I'm like,
power for you.
And I'm like, how did I become one of the youngest trust managers? How did I, get married when I was given a 0% chance of ever getting married? How did I have 2 kids, biological kids, when I was told it's the first function to go, last to come back? And, we currently have 4 beautiful biological kids. Like I mentioned before, my wife and I have been married we'll be married for 27 years in July 10th. And what's beautiful is this isn't about me. It really isn't about me, because what's happened here is I've discovered a repeatable, proven, predictable process that can help other people, not just me, pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and to dream new dreams. Because, Jerry, I go around and speak all over the world, and I share these tools that I'm going to give with you right now, one of them at least, and I come rolling out on stage and I address the elephant in the room about how good looking I am.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But the elephant, people can see the elephant that I'm in a wheelchair. I went from 6'1" to 4'7", and I'm physically paralyzed, and they can see that I'm in a wheelchair. I'm
5'4". Don't and see, I'm not much taller than you, even when you're sitting down. I'm sitting on books. I'm sitting on books, man, because the camera's too high. So I feel your pain.
I love it. I see things different. I see things different. But I do address the elephant, Jerry, and the elephant that I've learned over these years is I may be physically paralyzed, but I've learned that most of us, if not all of us, are paralyzed from the demons of doubt, fear, and complacency.
Oh, God, yes. Mental analysis, paralysis. We're trying to figure everything out. Go ahead. I mean, interrupt. I don't shut up.
No,
man.
Absolutely, 100%. So that's what we focus on is this mental paralysis, because it all gets us. We've all been plagued with these demons, and we've all had to fight these dragons of doubt, fear, and complacency. And I've discovered some tools to help us do that. There's 3 Ds that sit at the foundation of every problem, and there's the footings that the foundation sits on. And the footings is the P² mindset. It's the possibility principle. It's what helps us develop that desire that matches up with our dreams. It's the piece that helps us, match that dream with our desire so that floodgates of imagination open up and so we can dream new dreams. It's the piece that teaches us what success is. And sometimes, a lot of times we don't know what something is, but we know what it is by what it isn't. And we've all been taught that the opposite of success is failure, and that's a bunch of crap.
Exactly.
Because I've never met anybody who has not failed their way to success. And to me, what I want your listeners to hear right now is to give yourself permission to fail. Because failures at first are triumphs at last, as long as you just don't quit. And I believe that's what the opposite of success is to quit or to not even try. And so many times we try to just engulf and embrace success in one bite. I think Confucius said that man cannot drink, man cannot consume an elephant in one bite. And I'm thinking, who eats elephants? But man cannot consume a cow in one bite. And if you're a vegetarian, you can't consume the whole garden in one bite. And this possibility principle, by the way, your listeners can get for free. I go around the world and people pay me thousands of dollars to share this principle. I want to give it to your audience for free. So if you go to griffinmotivation.com and you go to the shop and you go to the possibility principle, if you put in the coupon code P2, that's just the letter P and the number 2. If you put in that coupon code, it'll give it to you for free. But the possibility principle opens up your mind. It helps you flip the switch. It helps you see things that you weren't able to see. As Wayne Dyer said, as you mentioned, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. And that's what the possibility principle does. It helps you see things different. And it also teaches you that it's in the struggle that you find the strength. And so often we want to eliminate our challenges. We want to eliminate the problems, but it's the problem and challenges that gives us the resilience. Yes. And the last thing that this possibility principle teaches and helps us out with is it teaches us what hope is. And I love the book by Angela Duckworth, Grit. And she talks about the West Point Academy cadets getting into West Point and then what it takes to get there. And then it talks about all the cadets who walk away, who quit. And then she focuses on the ones who stayed. And she says that the difference is grit. And she writes this whole book about grit, and I love it. I really do. And because to me, grit is really the P-squared mindset. And I think it all boils down to hope. And she says that gritty people are hopeful people. And I love her book, but I think she has this upside down. Because I believe that hopeful people are gritty people. And the P-squared mindset and the possibility principle will teach us what hope is. And to me, hope is the ability to reach out to the future and grab onto your dreams, your preamble, your vision, and bring it back to the present in spite of your past, in spite of your setbacks, in spite of your challenges, in spite of your failures. And it helps you keep on going. And we realize and we learn that inch by inch is a cinch and yard by yard is hard. And so, you just take it at that pace that you're capable of moving and going.
Wow.
There's always a blessing in the lesson. If people can grasp that for themselves, I mean, you never lose. We never lose in whatever we're trying to be and do. If you have, like you said, have hope, if we believe in ourselves. And most importantly, you bring up a great point of this clarity. You had a clear picture. Once that terrible thing happened to you, you knew, and you've accomplished every single thing you mentioned, and then some. I mean, it takes that will to do that stems the knowledge that we can do. It's not impossible. It's not I'm possible. If people can grasp that, just put a hyphen after I am, and then everything changes. There's that perspective change. It's fantastic advice for people, and I love sharing stuff like this on platforms. And like I said, to me, I'm the one person guy, and I do what I do. I want to help people as much as I can, because mental anguish will kill you not quicker than a bullet, but more painful than a bullet. Mm-hmm. And if you can get your mind right, your mind straight, your priority, your clarity on what you want to have, be, and do, no matter what gets in the way, that hope is going to kick in, the grit's going to kick in. All the aspects of your dream are going to modify and manifest just because you've anchored them into your thought process.
I want to remind everybody, Jerry utilizes journaling to help him stay in touch with that clarity that he's always looking for. And that's a journey. I mean, we're always trying to enhance our clarity no matter where we find ourselves. And Jeff talked about that face in the mirror, but not being as handsome as Jeff is, I've always utilized the face in the mirror as a check-in process. I'm checking in with myself, where I am, what I need to be doing that rundown every time, that face in the mirror. And I learned that from an old motivational tape by a former NFL coach talking about Charlie Lane. And that's a name from the past, but that's what that was all about. It was that answering to yourself, and that's who you need to answer to, yourself, not these external forces that are trying to drag you down. And Jeff is the master of accomplishing things, as far as I'm concerned. Once he sets a goal, he sets about accomplishing it. So 3 slightly different perspectives, but we're all going in the same direction.
Oh God, yeah. That's the beauty. It's the same thing, but all just kind of clarified with it's like scripture. It's been modified and expunged 41 different times throughout history. It's somebody's perspective. You change your perspective on who you are. You change your direction of life. You don't have to worry about all our opinions. Put it all together. It's like breadcrumbs to what you want to have, be, and do. And clarity is fantastic, because I just went and washed my truck the other day. I had a little bit of film on it. And all of a sudden it looked nice and shiny and bright again. That's what your dreams are. You're just polishing off life's film, that stuff that kind of gets stuck on there once in a while, called doubt and fear. You've got to keep it polished. That's what journaling does for me. I'm just repolishing and clarifying my direction in life. And by using affirmations, however way I set up and dictate it, clarifies it and gives me a better imaginational picture, which was brought up. And it's a great anchor to start in. The foundation, your thought process is just the foundation to the house that you build. Mm-hmm. And whatever you want to build depends on how you anchor that thought every day. And to me, writing down 3 simple pages in a cosmopolitan book that costs 50 cents at Walmart has changed my life. Actually,
100%. 100%. I would agree with you. You're talking about these things right here, right?
Yes. Look at this is what we're talking about here. Little bitty, powerful. You can't get a book like this at a library. You really can't, because this is your life. I mean, the book that I wrote was basically a journal with my words of quotes and how it anchors in life. And it's so simple. But like I said, people are afraid. They believe in karma, but karma is your same thing. You got to realize you're creating your own karma. You can't see it, but you still believe in it. Your thoughts are the same way. You can't see them, but you can still create them.
Yeah.
Well, Jerry, before, because I know you guys are old and you probably need to go to the bathroom, but before we get out of here, I think we should consider making Jeff an honorary meatball.
He can have my meatball, and I'll just make more, man. It's all good. But, Italians, us Italians, we like sharing things. So you're 3,000
I just want to make sure that I'm not coming in between the lady and the tramp. I don't want to get in between the lady and the tramp here.
Well, you might be.
Justin, you're not my type, buddy.
Jeff, you might be, but why don't you give us? Why don't we let you close this show out, Jeff? Because we keep you here all night, and we don't want to do that to you. And go ahead and close this show out, and we'll put this one in the bank.
Absolutely. Now, Jerry, I've heard you say this many times: have, be, and do. And I like to just flip the switch just a little bit and reframe it, and say be, do, and have. We've got to recognize who we are.
You got to be that to become that. Fantastic.
To be, to renew the real you. And if we can understand and recognize who we are, and you talked about the word "I'm possible." It's just including the apostrophe. And for me, it's the great I am. For me, it's connecting with the Creator and co-creating with my Creator, who has given me all. And I've learned that no wealth and position can walk in the door unless fortified with a sincere sense of gratitude. And we've all heard the adage, attitude determines altitude, and that's so true. But the fastest way to change your attitude is through gratitude. And that's what I love about what you're doing with journaling. Journaling can help you identify the things that you do have instead of what you don't have, the things that you would like to have. And so you get into that alignment. And I love it. You call it journaling. I call it the daily diamond. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, minimum. because we both know that where our focus goes, our energy flows. And so I just appreciate this opportunity to be with you guys, and again, to be an honorary meatball, maybe a permanent meatball here on the wall. We'll throw some spaghetti up there, but I just love the one-liners that you have, Jerry, and I love what you said, Justin, about looking at the man in the mirror and having that conversation with that person, because we all have the ability to achieve our dreams and desires. We all come from infinite intelligence. We just have to be reminded about that. And for me, the impossible turns into the possible by including the great I am. And again, just a reminder, if anybody who's still here wants that possibility principle, go to my website, grab it, P2. You can grab some books, and we'll throw a little love out there. If you put the coupon code LOVE, we'll knock off 50%.
Look at your selfie.
Love it. I love it.
All right. Hey.
I'll put it on my Facebook page, man. I look forward to it. It was friggin' awesome. I love it. Absolutely loved it. Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Hey, before I sign off.
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I have been here. I have been listening to you. I may be the only one listening to you too, but I have been. And Jeff, when you're not off doing these international conferences and traveling to Germany and Saudi Arabia and London and all that you do, and you feel like slumming, we'll give you an open invitation to come back here.
You know what? Listen, I hear one-liners every once in a while. I hear mic drops every once in a while. Every time Jerry opens his mouth, there's a mic drop. There's a one-liner. There's these things that I'm like, okay, absolutely. I'm stealing that one. I'm taking it. R&D, rip off and duplicate.
Exactly.
Yeah. My mentor was Paul Lynn, believe me. Rodney Dangerfield, I love them all. The king of the one-liners.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for letting me spend some time at the cool kids table.
Hey, you're welcome, Jeff. Hey, everybody. This has been Just In Case and Jerry Maldonado with special guest Jeff Griffin, bringing you Meatball Therapy. Thanks for joining us. Remember, additional information and links are provided in this video's read more. Today's the day to subscribe to this channel. Please learn more about Jerry Maldonado and Jeff Griffin when time permits.